I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to get blindsided like this. My name's Mike, by the way. I've been with Lisa for about 6 years now. We've had our ups and downs, sure. Nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual marriage stuff. She's fiery, a little bitchy sometimes, but I loved her. Or at least I thought I did. She's always been a bit manipulative, good at hiding her true self behind a mask, but I figured that was just her personality. People have flaws, right? I never suspected she'd cheat on me, especially not with someone I actually knew. Lately, things started to feel off. She was acting weird, distant, and she kept canceling plans at the last minute. She'd say she was busy with work, then suddenly had all these excuses about needing me time or self-care. I noticed her phone was glued to her hand more than usual. She'd hide it whenever I came near, and her texts seemed more guarded. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the nagging suspicion was there. Still, I tried to brush it off. Maybe she was just stressed or overwhelmed. Then the small signs turned into bigger ones. She started going out more often without telling me where she was going. I'd ask, and she'd give me some bullshit about shopping or meeting friends. She'd lie so easily, too, with that smirk that made me want to punch her sometimes. But I didn't want to be paranoid. I told myself I was overreacting. Until that day when everything changed. It was a random Tuesday, and I decided to swing by the coffee shop near our place during my lunch break. Nothing unusual, right? I like sitting there having my coffee, trying to clear my head. I wasn't even planning to spy or anything, I just wanted a quiet moment. As I sat there, I noticed the security camera footage on the monitor in the corner. I saw her, Lisa, walking into the coffee shop, but that wasn't what caught my attention. It was who she was with. The guy she was with. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe it was someone from her work or a friend she'd told me about. But then I saw the unmistakable face, David, my wife's sponsor during her recovery meetings. The same guy I'd heard her mention a dozen times but never suspected she was sleeping with him. And that's when I saw them sitting close, way too close, laughing, touching, leaning into each other. They looked like they were about to kiss. It hit me like a punch to the gut. I watched in disbelief as they kissed. Yes, they actually kissed. Right there in the open for everyone to see. I couldn't believe my eyes. My wife Lisa cheating on me with her sponsor's sponsor. That's a whole new level of betrayal. I stared at the screen, frozen. I felt like I was in some bad movie, except this was real. I couldn't breathe properly. My stomach twisted. I didn't even know what to think or feel first. Anger, sadness, betrayal, all of it swirling together, making my head spin. I didn't want to jump to conclusions without proof, so I kept watching. It was only a matter of minutes before they left, hand in hand, like it was nothing. That image haunted me. I went home that night feeling numb, trying to process what I saw. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how she could do this to me, to us. And the worst part, she lied to my face so many times about where she was, what she was doing. All those nights she said she was shopping, meeting friends, or just taking a break, when she was really with that goddamn guy. I felt an intense mixture of rage and heartbreak, like I'd been punched in the stomach and left bleeding. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. But I wasn't sure how to do it or what I was even going to say. All I knew was that my marriage was crumbling before my eyes, and I was never going to see her the same way again. That's when I realized this was probably the biggest test of my life, my sobriety, my trust, everything I thought I knew about her. And honestly, I was terrified of what would come next. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept circling back to what I saw, the way Lisa and David looked in that coffee shop. I kept replaying the moment, trying to piece together what it all meant, even though I already knew. I just needed confirmation. I couldn't sit with this secret anymore, not knowing whether it was real or some sick nightmare. I decided to look through her phone. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help myself. I was desperate for the truth. I snuck into the bedroom before she woke up, grabbed her phone from the side table and started scrolling. I was careful, trying not to wake her. I was looking for anything, texts, pictures, anything that could prove what I saw. At first, I found nothing unusual. Just the usual messages from her friends, some shopping lists, her usual good morning texts. But then I found a message that made my stomach drop. It was a text from her to someone named D. It said, "Can't wait to see you tonight. I miss you already." I froze. The date was yesterday, the same day I saw her with David. My hands started shaking. I kept scrolling and found more. Messages that sounded intimate, flirtatious. Things I never thought she'd say to anyone, especially not to her sponsor. There were emojis, suggestive comments, plans to meet up. I couldn't believe my eyes. This was real. Before I could process it. Further, Lisa stirred behind me. She groggily sat up, rubbing her eyes. I quickly shoved the phone back, acting like I'd just woken up. She looked at me with that same bitchy smirk, the one she always uses when she thinks she's got some kind of advantage. She asked, "What are you doing? Were you snooping?" I looked at her, my heart pounding. "Who's D?" I asked calmly, trying to keep my voice steady. Her eyes flickered for a moment, and then she laughed a little nervously, I think. "D? What are you talking about? I don't know any D." She rolled her eyes and shrugged, trying to brush it off. "You're imagining things, Mike. You're just paranoid, probably just some guy from work or some online thing. You always overthink stuff." I knew she was lying, it was obvious, but I also knew that confronting her right then wouldn't do any good. She was a master manipulator. Instead, I decided I needed a plan. I couldn't let her keep gaslighting me. That day I went to work, but my mind was preoccupied. I kept thinking about what I'd seen, what it meant, and how I was going to handle this. Later that evening, I started digging around online, trying to find out more about David and her meetings. I remembered her talking about him, how he was her sponsor, how they'd met at AA meetings. It all made sense now, why she'd been so secretive about her meetings. She'd been sneaking around with someone she trusted, someone she thought she could hide it from me. That night I replayed everything, and the rage started building up again. How could she betray me like this? After everything I'd done to stay sober, after supporting her through her recovery, she was out there cheating on me with a man who was supposed to help her stay clean. That's some sick irony. I knew that whatever I decided next, my life was never going to be the same. I felt like I'd been hit by a car, but inside there was this cold fire burning, anger, betrayal, heartbreak all rolled into one. I couldn't sleep. All I could do was stare at the ceiling and think about what her lies really meant. How deep the deception went. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted with everything, was out there screwing around behind my back. It was clear I couldn't ignore this anymore. I had to confront her face to face, no more hiding. But I didn't know what I was going to say yet. All I knew was I was done being played for a fool. She might have thought she was clever, lying and sneaking around, but she underestimated the pain her betrayal would cause. And I was about to let her know exactly how much she'd hurt me. That confrontation was inevitable. I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine, not after digging into her phone and seeing those texts. I had to face her, even if I didn't fully know what I was going to say. It was late at night when I finally decided to bring it up. No more hiding, no more pretending I didn't know. I found her in the living room, scrolling through her laptop like she always did when she was avoiding something. Her bitchy smirk was there, but I saw the flicker of guilt in her eyes. I took a deep breath and pointed at her. "Lisa, we need to talk. I saw the messages. I saw you with David in that coffee shop. Don't lie to me now." Her eyes widened for a second, then she scoffed. "Oh, please, Mike, you're just paranoid. You're always accusing me of things. Maybe I was there with a friend. Maybe it was just a coincidence." I felt my blood boil. "Stop bullshitting me," I said, voice steady but edged with fury. "I saw the kiss. I saw the messages. You've been lying to my face for weeks, maybe months. You've been sneaking around behind my back with the guy you call your sponsor's sponsor. That's some sick shit." She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "You don't know what you're talking about. You're overreacting. It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. I was trying to figure things out, okay? Maybe I needed someone to talk to." Her voice was dripping with sarcasm and denial. I knew she was lying, but I also knew I needed her to admit it, something concrete. "So you're telling me it's just sex? That you're not cheating on me with a guy you're supposed to be guiding you through sobriety?" I said. "Because if that's what you believe, then I don't even know who you are anymore." She looked at me with that same bitchy glare, then sighed loudly. "You're such a drama king, Mike. Honestly, I don't have to justify myself to you. I'm tired of this." She paused, then added with a sneer, maybe I should go stay at my sister for a while, give us both some space. That was the moment I realized she was already planning her exit. The way she said it, so dismissive, so cold, like I was just some obstacle in her life. And that's when the rage took over. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and betrayed again by her attempt to dismiss it all so casually. I told her I needed time to think, and I left the room, slamming the door behind me. I spent the rest of the night sitting on the couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it all. The love I once had was slipping through my fingers. I kept asking myself how I let it get this far, how I missed all the warning signs. How many times had I trusted her when I should have seen it coming? By morning, I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just let her walk out or continue lying to me. I needed proof, clarity. I decided I'd go back to the coffee shop footage, check the security cameras myself, see if I could find more evidence. I didn't know if I'd confront her again or just gather everything for a decisive moment. All I knew was that my world was falling apart, and I was desperate to find out how deep this betrayal went. The hardest part was the emotional toll. The heartbreak I felt was almost unbearable. I loved her, believed in us, and now I felt like I'd been played by someone I thought I knew. That bitchy, manipulative side of her was fully exposed now, and I realized she'd been doing this all along, lying, cheating, hiding her double life. I was angry, yes, but underneath that I was devastated. I kept questioning myself. Did I miss the signs? Did I fail somehow? Or was she just always this selfish? Whatever the reason, I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. I had to decide where to go from here. Was I going to forgive her, try to work through it, or was it already over? The pain was raw, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I'd always believed in a kind of loyalty and honesty, and now I saw what Lisa really was: a liar, a cheat, a user. I wasn't sure what the future held, but I knew I'd have to be honest with myself about what I deserved. And I deserved better than this. The next few days turned into a whirlwind of chaos inside my head. I kept replaying that moment I saw her with David, the way she looked so at ease, so unbothered, like she owned the whole damn world. That image haunted me day and night. I couldn't focus at work, and every time I looked at her, I saw that sneering, manipulative side I'd barely even known existed. It was like I'd been blind all along, and now I was finally waking up to the truth. I knew I had to confront her again, or at least get some answers. But this time, I decided I'd do it on my terms. I wanted to catch her in a lie, or better yet, force her to admit everything. I started planning. I couldn't just accuse her blindly. I needed solid proof. So I arranged to go to the coffee shop myself to see if I could spot her again or find more evidence. I also started digging into her phone, looking for more clues, deleted messages, hidden photos, anything that could tell me what she was really up to. That day, I hung around the coffee shop for hours. Sure enough, I saw her walk in with David again, this time more casual, more intimate. They sat in the corner, whispering and laughing. I saw her lean into him, touching his arm, and then they kissed again. I snapped a quick picture on my phone just in case I needed it. Watching her in that moment, I felt a mixture of anger, disgust, and heartbreak. How could she do this to me? After everything we'd been through, after all the promises she broke. When I got back home, I confronted her again. I kept my voice calm, cold even. Lisa, I saw you with David today. I saw how close you are, how intimate you're acting. Tell me what the hell is going on. She looked at me with that same bitchy smirk. Oh, Mike, you're so dramatic. I told you I was just talking to an old friend. It's not what you think. Save it, I snapped. I have proof. You're sneaking around behind my back, lying to my face. Do you honestly think I don't see through your bullshit? I saw you kissing him. I saw the way you're acting, like you're some kind of queen, like I'm supposed to just accept this. She rolled her eyes again. Honestly, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe I needed someone to talk to. Maybe I was feeling lonely and he was just there for me. You know, sometimes people crave attention, Mike. It doesn't mean I want to leave you. That last part made me laugh bitterly. You're full of shit. Don't insult my intelligence. You've been fucking him, haven't you? You've been lying to me this whole time, pretending everything's fine when it's not. I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm done being your fool. Her face twisted into a snarl. Fine. If you want to think whatever you want, go ahead. but I'm not going to sit here and be accused of things I haven't done. Maybe I'll leave, maybe I'll stay. Honestly, I don't care anymore. Just don't expect me to be the perfect wife anymore. That moment, something inside me snapped. I felt the rage boil over. I told her she was a selfish, manipulative bitch, that she'd lost me for good and I was done playing her game. I told her I'd be filing for divorce soon and that I wanted her out of the house. I saw her eyes flash with fury, but I didn't care. I'd had enough of her lies and manipulations. As she packed her bags that night, I felt a strange mixture of relief and pain. I never thought I'd see the day I'd be the one to kick her out. It hurt more than I thought possible. I loved her, I really did, but her betrayal had shattered everything we had. I realized I'd been defending her for so long, convincing myself she'd change, but deep down I knew she was already gone, lost in her own selfish world of lies and cheating. That night, I slept alone for the first time in years. It was quiet, too quiet. I kept thinking about all the moments we shared, the promises broken, and how she'd lied to me over and over. I wondered how I'd rebuild myself from this. I kept asking if I'd ever be able to trust again, or if I'd just be haunted by her betrayal forever. One thing was clear. I was done living in denial. I'd lost her, sure, but I'd gained a new clarity. I knew I deserved better than someone who lied, cheated, and used me. I told myself I'd pick up the pieces, heal, and move on, probably better off without her. But damn, it still hurt more than I can describe. It's funny how someone you love can turn out to be your biggest nightmare. And the thing is, I'm not even sure I'll ever fully get over this. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. I kept waking up with that empty feeling in my chest, knowing she was gone and realizing how much I'd trusted her, how I'd let her manipulate me for so long. I kept replaying everything, the lies, the sneaking around, the way she looked at him in those moments they thought I wouldn't see. It was like a punch to the gut every single time. I couldn't escape the memory of her in the coffee shop, kissing him, touching him like he was her everything. That image was burned into my mind. I felt betrayed in a way I never thought possible. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly and then just walk out of my life as if she hadn't done anything wrong? It made me question everything I believed about her, about us. I started questioning whether I even knew who she really was. Despite all the pain, I knew I had to keep going. I couldn't let her get the last word. I started gathering more evidence, screenshots of the messages, the photos I took, and copies of texts I managed to recover. I wanted to have everything in case I needed it for a legal separation or just to prove to anyone who doubted me. I wasn't going to be one of those guys who just takes it lying down. If she wanted to destroy our marriage, I'd make sure she paid for it in some way. I reached out to a divorce lawyer and we went over my options. It was a brutal process, but I knew I couldn't stay married to someone who had lied and cheated her way through our life together. I also knew I had to find a way to rebuild myself. Sobriety had been my anchor, my way of staying sane through all this chaos, and I clung to that. I started attending meetings again, not just to stay sober, but to keep my mind focused. The support from the community helped more than I thought it would. One day, I sat down and reflected on how everything had changed. I realized I'd spent so much time giving her the benefit of the doubt, trying to see the good in her. But that was over now. I had to accept that she was no longer part of my life. The woman I loved had become a stranger, and I had to accept that I couldn't fix her. The betrayal cut deep, but it also made me stronger. I was learning to stand on my own 2 feet again, even if it hurt like hell. The aftermath was messy. I found out she'd already moved out entirely, and she refused to answer my calls or messages. I knew she was probably trying to run away from the guilt or the consequences. Honestly, I didn't care. My focus shifted to healing, learning to love myself again, piece by piece. I started reconnecting with friends, doing things I enjoyed that I'd put aside during the marriage. I realized that I'd lost a lot, but I still had my dignity, my sobriety, and a chance to rebuild. Looking back, I see how blind I was, how much I overlooked. But I also see that I'm not the same person I was before her betrayal. It changed me, made me more cautious about who I trust, but also more aware of my worth. I wish I could say I've completely moved on, but I'm still healing, still learning to let go of that anger and sadness. But I know one thing, no matter how much I loved her, I deserve honesty and loyalty. And I'll never settle for less again. This whole mess has taught me a brutal lesson about trust, betrayal, and self-respect. If there's one thing I want others to take away from this, it's that you can't control what other people do, but you can control how you respond. Don't let someone cheat and lie without consequences. Protect yourself, be honest with yourself, and never ignore the signs of toxicity. Because in the end, you're the only one who can decide your worth, and I'm finally starting to believe I'm worth a lot more than I ever thought. It's been a few weeks since I kicked her out, and honestly, I've felt a strange mix of relief, anger, and a deep sadness I didn't expect. I won't lie, there are days when the pain hits me in waves, when I wonder if I'll ever fully trust again or if I'll carry this scar forever. But I remind myself that I've survived something brutal, something that threatened to destroy me, and I'm still here, still standing. That's what keeps me going. One thing I've learned is that betrayal cuts deep. It shatters your sense of security and trust, and it makes you question everything. But it also teaches you resilience. I've started going to therapy just to process what happened and to rebuild my self-esteem. I'm learning to forgive myself for not seeing it coming, and to realize that her actions say far more about her than they do about me. I wasn't the problem, she was. I have no illusions that I'll forget her or that I'll ever truly understand why she did what she did. Some people are just damaged, selfish, and incapable of loyalty. What I do know is that I've come out of this stronger. I've rediscovered parts of myself I'd neglected over the years, my independence, my boundaries, my dignity. It's a long road, but I'm walking it step by step. Now I focus on building a new life. I've started dating again, cautiously. I don't jump into anything, but I'm trying to open up again, to trust slowly. It's scary after everything, but I refuse to let that betrayal define my future. I've realized that I deserve honesty, respect, and someone who values me, not just when it's convenient, but always. Looking back, I see how naive I was. I thought I knew her, believed in our vows, in our dreams. But the truth was, she was hiding her real self all along. It hurts to admit it, but I've learned that sometimes love isn't enough. You can love someone with everything you've got, but if they're fundamentally not honest or loyal, then holding on only hurts you in the long run. So here I am, choosing to move forward, choosing to heal. I'll never forget what happened, but I won't let it define me either. I'll take the pain, learn from it, and come out on the other side a better man. Because if there's one thing I've realized, it's that I'm stronger than I thought, and I owe it to myself to keep fighting for a life that's honest, real, and worth living.